It is finally here. We have ourselves a brand new tabs update. And in this totally accurate battle simulator video, I'm going to be taking you through the new tabs update. I'm going to be showing you everything that's changed and how it's going to impact your gameplay. But before we get into that, let's very quickly summarize what's actually changed here, because obviously this is no longer in early access. Now, the most important changes here are obviously we have two new factions, and with each of those two new factions, we of course have two new campaigns, and then each of those two factions, the good and the evil faction, also has a secret unit that you can find on the two new maps. We also, of course, as you can see right here, we also have some changes to just the graphical UI layout of the game, which I've got to say already looks quite a lot better than the old one. The old one was a little bit too basic. We also have the introduction of some smaller things that you might not know about, including the health bars that you can now put above the units, and incredibly importantly, we now have multiplayer within tabs. Yes, that is right, you heard that correct. We now have tabs multiplayer in this new update. And without further ado, let's crack on with the video. Again, you can use the timestamps at the bottom of this video to navigate around to where you want to go, but let's dive in with the first thing, which is unlocking the two factions and campaigns. So to unlock the new factions and the new campaigns, all you gotta do is come over to the sandbox mode on this graphical UI that has just been updated and come over into the Medieval 1 map. And already here you can see that the UI has changed quite a bit, but that's not what we're here to do. We are here to unlock the new campaign, and what we are going to do is we are first going to go open the first door down here, which is just under here. All you gotta do is just move next to it right here, and it will smash open like so, and then that will allow us to open. You can see basically it opens the doors, these nice little sliding doors, and we can enter this vault. Now, these two factions are actually fantasy factions, and this is going to be the good faction right here, and all you gotta do is just wait for a minute. And then there you go, just like that, this awesome looking orb thing comes down and lights up this entire room. And you'll see in this new update, they've integrated once again another new landfall logo. And this right here is how you unlock the good campaign as well as the good faction. Purely by going into this orb like this, it will automatically take us to this brand new map that we have right here. And as you can see, it is a really nice looking map. Now, by doing this, it will actually unlock the map for you, but it will also unlock the campaign and the entire good fantasy faction for you, and that's all you have to do to get that. Now, for this new fantasy good faction, there is of course a secret unit, and all we've got to do to unlock that secret unit is make our way over here, all the way up to this thing here, and right here is where the unit will be. Obviously, I have already unlocked it, so I will now show you some footage of that actually unlocking. Okay, now that we've unlocked this map, the first faction and the first campaign, we're now going to move over onto the second faction. So let's go back onto the main menu, and then let's once again click on sandbox right here. This time we are going to spooky 1 up in the top right corner here, which is the same as Medieval 1, but it is the spooky variant. And we are once again going to do the exact same thing. So we're going to take our camera down here, and as you can see, this door has already been busted wide open for us. And all we've got to do, this is of course the evil fantasy faction that you can unlock in this new tabs update, and you can see it's already looking slightly more ominous than the last one. All we've got to do is come down this rather scary looking hole. We can have a little peek through, but if you go any further, it's going to teleport you, so you can have a little peek before you go through. And then once we go through, it is of course going to load us into this second map right here, which is the evil fantasy faction, and it's also of course going to unlock the map and the campaign for us as well. Now, once again, from this start point right here, we of course have another secret unit that you can unlock with this evil fantasy faction, and I'm going to show you the location of that right now. Basically, behind this big statue in chains, if you come behind him, you will see that there's going to be a little item down here. Once again, I've already unlocked it, so I will now show you some footage of that actually unlocking. And just like that, we have got ourselves the new faction for both the good and evil fantasy faction. We have both the good and evil map. And if I now back out to the main menu, you will see just by going through those portals, if I come into campaign, you will see at the bottom right corner, we have the good campaign and we also have the evil campaign, which are both playable. And within each of these campaigns, you can use those secret units that we just unlocked on those maps right there. And now I'm going to show you all of the new units and also the secret units unit from each faction. And first up, we have the Devout Gauntlet. This guy is basically just your bog standard melee unit, and he comes in at 200 points. Then we have this cool unit here called the Celestial Aegis. So it's actually quite smart. What it does, you see this orb around here? What it basically does is it actually blocks different projectiles. It only has a certain number of charges, but then she is also a ranged unit, and it's quite a versatile unit, and it only costs 300 points. Then we have the Radiant Glaive, who comes in at 500 points, and this unit right here is again a throwing unit. This is a ranged unit. He throws this little boomerang type thing out. It's quite a cool unit, but so far I've not had a lot of luck with him. And then at 800 points, we have the Righteous Paladin, which is basically just like a big melee unit. It gets stuck in and then has this really cool hammer ability that just smashes down onto the ground and does a lot of AoE damage. Then at 1000 points, we've got one of the most overpowered units you could possibly get. It's the Divine Arbiter, and the reason this is so overpowered because it has infinite range. You can literally shoot someone from a completely different side of the map, even though they can't actually get to you. Really strong unit, and this comes in at 1000 points. Then at 2000 points, we have my personal favorite for this new faction. It is the Sacred Elephant, and yes, it is basically just like a small mammoth with a mount, and this guy has some sort of like, these things like fire off, kind of like Yandu from Guardians of the Galaxy. They fire off and then come back to him. It's really, really quite cool, actually. So it is like a beefy elephant unit with a ranged unit mount. Then at 3000 points, we have the Chronomancer. Now, this guy right here is also looking a bit thick at the minute. He looks like he's wearing a big diaper, actually. But this guy kind of like does a bunch of damage. He's very good against small, lightly armored units. And because he's a boss, he actually transforms into a different state of himself after an allotted amount of time. I will, of course, show you that later when we battle the good and evil factions against one another. And last but not least, we have the secret unit that we just unlocked here, and it is the Solar Architect. This guy basically puts down like a big AoE damage thing in front of himself and actually leeches the life into himself. So really good at damage control, and this comes in at 1200 points. And then on the flip side of that coin, we of course have the evil fantasy units that we're going to go through now. This is the Shadow Walker, which is a melee unit worth 200, which basically is just a bog standard melee unit, except it teleports around once in a while. Then at 300 points, we have the Exiled Sentinel, which basically holds up 2 shields at all times, but then when she gets close to an enemy, she switches to a pair of axes, so it's actually quite a versatile unit. At 500 points, we then have the Mad Mechanic, which basically has these like shooty flamethrower hands that sucks in. This is what it shoots. It shoots this like weird like energy flamethrower type thing, but quite a good ranged unit so far. Then at 800 points, we have the Void Cultist, who basically does this really, really cool sword attack effect type thing. You guys will see it when we do the battle. And then at 1000 points, we have the Tempest Lich. She basically calls down thunderstorms on its enemies. At 2000 points, we have the Deathbringer, which is just a really cool melee unit. Seems to be really, really effective and has some really nice effects to it as well, which particularly look good on this new map because it's so dark. And then at 3000 points, we have the boss of this new evil fantasy faction, which is the Void Monarch, and this is like a big damage dealing unit. Again, this guy actually transforms into a different unit, which you will see later on. And then last but at no means least, we have the Infernal Whip unit, which basically holds these really cool, well, Infernal Whips, and they're actually a bit of a ranged unit. They go really, really far to do melee damage, but also set the enemies on fire. This is actually one of the better units, I think. Now, if you had not already noticed, these factions actually perfectly reflect one another in that the points are worth exactly the same. So we're going to do some 1v1s between the equal point matchups here to find out which are the better units. And this is round 1 with each faction's 200 point unit. Let's fight and see what they do. Again, you can see that teleport right there, and you can see he did just get wrecked anyway. They teleport around, which is really, really cool because it can get behind enemy lines and get the archers, but they've got really low health and just die really easily. So there we go. The win goes to the good fantasy faction for round 1. And for round 2, we have the 300 point units from each faction. Let's find out which is stronger. Again, you can see how those were originally shields and then they turn into axes, which I'm not gonna lie is actually a really cool feature. And there we go. So it is 1-1 so far. And next up is the 500 point unit from each of the factions, and you're gonna again see what these guys do. This Mad Mechanic seems, oh, actually, wow, the Mad Mechanic just about got his flames off. You can see it just kind of coming through here, but just has to get so close, it just didn't really do anything. So there we go. It's 2-1 to the good fantasy faction. And now we are moving into the 800 point realm. Let's see who's gonna win. Again, you can see that sword effect and that hammer effect. There's a lot of new effects in this update, which look absolutely awesome. I think because of the close quarters, I think this guy with a massive hammer is probably gonna win it. Oh, but look at those swords. Look at that. You see what I mean? They're actually really, really, really cool. But the hammer effect is really good for AoE. Did you see that? Absolutely slammed him. However, it's really good at taking out Shod, but it doesn't actually do that much damage. This could actually still go either way. It looks like this guy can actually hold hold his own a little bit in the melee combat. I thought he was going to be a lot more squishy than this. Let's see, actually. I wonder who's going to win this. This seems like a really well-balanced fight right here. And he's fallen off the side. He's fallen off the side. We'll have to give it to the Good Fantasy faction, but it doesn't feel like the most legitimate win. So 3-1 to the Good Fantasy faction. And now we move on to the 1,000 point units. This guy, my favorite unit so far, but this one is also a strange but effective unit. You can see the thunderclouds he's going to call down there, and he's already dead. Again, super squishy, but I'm going to show you now why this might be one of the most overpowered units in the game. And this right here is exactly why he is so overpowered, because he has infinite range. Look at the range right here. There's no other unit that can do this, and you're going to see exactly what I mean, okay? We're just going to fire, and they've all hit him right there, and it's already game over. Look at that. It's absolute insanity. My favorite unit by a long shot. Some of the things I was doing in last night's live stream was just unfair. Now we've got the Sacred Elephant versus the Deathbringer. You're going to see the effects that this guy has. Again, you can see those effects, just they look really cool. Now he's like a really killy unit. He just gets in there. You can see the other guy's got these range things which he will throw, and oh my god, actually he actually won. Okay, I did not see that coming. The elephant has actually won the day. I thought they were going to lose it, but there you go. It looks like a lot of victories are going to the Good Fantasy faction here. And now we have the showdown between the two boss units here. Both of these guys actually transform, and you're going to see, well, actually I didn't even know that guy teleported like that, but look, you can see he gets frozen in time a little bit. He teleports, but the other guy can like freeze him in time. And as you can see, we've got one transformation right here already. That is, the good guy has transformed. Let's see how long it takes for the other guy to transform. Oh, he actually managed to... Is he dead? Who won that? I don't know. Defeated red team. There we go. The good team actually won that before this guy transformed. When they transform, they actually regain all of their health. But I want to make sure you guys get a chance to see the transformation, because it is actually really cool. But there we go. It looks like so far the good faction, the Good Fantasy faction, is actually winning this by a long shot here. Okay, we got 3 of these boss units now. Surely this guy is not going to be able to survive that. Surely not. They're all going to teleport onto him and just absolutely leech him. If this guy wins against 3 of them, then he is literally undoubtedly... Okay, look at that. He's already transformed. Undoubtedly. I don't understand. Like, he just seems... Oh my god. He just did all 3 of them. He just did all 3 of them. Okay, it is confirmed. This guy is the better unit, hands down. There's not really any debate about that. Now, this is the only points difference. These are both the secret units. This is the Solar Architect and the Infernal Whip. This costs 800, and this guy here costs 1,200. So in theory, we know that this guy should win over here, but let's just see. Also, you'll see by what I mean by the effects. The effects on this. This is a really effect-heavy faction, but look at that. This guy's like throwing his whips down. You can see the range on them, and he's burning this guy down, and he's won it. Oh, I didn't realize I'd left this guy down here as well, but there you go. Actually, at 800 points, the Infernal Whip won that. Okay, so we've just looked at every single unit against their matched up unit, but let's look at the entire team against the entire team and see which is the overall best faction rather than just which is the best unit for its tier. Okay, let's begin this battle. My money, based on what we just saw, is going to be on this faction here. As you can see, already that guy's dead. The lightning coming down all over the elephant. Okay, let's see who's going to win this. The elephant is getting hit by everything here straight away. Look, he's getting absolutely rolled. And actually, it looks like a lot of the good units are down. This is the thing. The good units are a lot more squishy. Okay, I was not expecting that. Okay, individually, unit versus unit, the good faction is way stronger. But as a balanced team as a whole, that was an absolute stomp. The evil faction just destroyed them. Because that was such a stomp, I'm actually going to run that one more time just to make sure that I'm not like wrong about that, because that was absolute madness right there. Okay, yeah, it looks like the exact same thing is happening. All these like squishy little units down the back here, they do a lot of damage, but they just die so easily. Oh, but we did get the transformation this time. Okay, actually this time is actually looking a little bit different here, which is interesting. Okay, second time round. Okay, let's do the best of 3. Second time round, these guys actually won, so let's do the best of 3. Okay, who is going to win? Whoever wins this one. Look at that, actually. I didn't realize they had that kind of range, but that was actually pretty powerful. Against all the squishy units from the good guys, already dead pretty much, and we're just down to the kind of like the healthy units down the back here. It's basically these guys just carrying the team, lads. And again, this one looks like it's going to be yet another absolute stomp, although actually that could be a game changer right here. Look, this guy and also the Solar Architect, that actually could have just clutched it for them. Let's see. Is that going to be enough to clutch it? Is that going to be enough to clutch it? Or Are they going to manage to get the kill here? This is actually... Oh, hold on. There's still that guy down the back. I did not realize this guy down the back was actually still alive. This is a really close call here. Let's see who's going to win this. This is actually really, really close. And there we go. It looks like the good team, the fantasy good team, has won 2 games out of the 3, and they won most of the 1v1s. And therefore, I am saying in this new tabs update is the superior team with the superior units. Now, something that has flown under the radar a little bit with this new update is the fact that you can actually now add health bars to your guys. So if we come into settings here and we go over to gameplay, you will see at the bottom we have unit health bar size, which you can play around with. But obviously that's not going to do anything unless you enable the unit health bars. If we turn that on and press OK, and then we restart this battle here, you will now see that we actually now have unit health bars above each of these guys, and it allows us to actually track the progress of the battle and see how much damage they are doing within the battle. So you can see that massive melee hit has just absolutely wiped these 2 guys out. You can also see that these AoE things are good at killing squishy units, but they don't do much damage. And you can see these guys are barely even damaging this guy here, so he clearly has a lot of health, or these guys don't do much damage. And it's just an interesting little feature that they've added into the game that's kind of flown under the radar. Because there's been so much added to the game, this has kind of gone unnoticed a little bit, but it is as simple as that to turn on, and I think it's really quite cool. Another super simple change that you may have not noticed is the little effect when you spawn a unit now. If you see that, when I spawn a unit, he now has this nice little effect that is blue for that team, and he has a nice little red effect if they're on the other team. Another subtle change, but something to be aware of. Now, coming back to the main menu, of course, if we come into the sandbox, we can obviously now find our new maps in here in the sandbox. So just to summarize, we've gone through all of the new units, we've gone through the new secret units, we've shown you the campaign, and we've also unlocked the 2 new maps. We've also looked at the health bar features and a couple of graphical changes to not only just the menu, but the placement of units within the game. But there is one thing that we have not looked at yet that is incredibly important, and that is, of course, the multiplayer thing that is sitting just above my head right here. So if we come onto this multiplayer, you can see we can now play local multiplayer, meaning that we can do kind of like a hot seat game with somebody in our kind of immediate vicinity, or we can actually play with a friend who's in a completely different location online multiplayer. This is going to be massive for Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, and is why this game is going to do much better in future. So if I come in here and I click on friends, you can see right now I have 4 friends I could invite to this game right here. I've got, for example, Carl Gillespie right here, who I'm just going to slap an invite out to. He doesn't even know I'm recording this. He's actually a senior moderator on my Discord server, and I'm wondering now if he's actually going to accept that invite. It would be quite funny if he does. And all you have to do is select a map, and then you basically go into this creating game section here. And obviously, currently, because Carl has not yet accepted the invite, he is an American. It's 10 a.m. for me, which basically means it's probably about 7 a.m. for him if he's on the East Coast. So the chances of him actually accepting this invite are quite slim. He's probably just left the game on overnight. But basically, what it would allow you to do is allow you to place all of your units down here. You can see how many points each army has put down. You put your armies down. It allows you to fight a battle. We now have multiplayer within tabs. This new tabs update has brought new factions, new maps, new secret units. Incredibly, it's brought multiplayer, and it's got a load of graphical UI changes. It just makes it feel like a fully resolved game, and I think this is one of the biggest tabs updates we are going to ever see, unless they release a map creator. With Landfall Games, I've got my eye on you. Please give us a map creator, because it would allow us to have eternal fun on this game. It would be eternally popular game. But guys, that's where I'm going to leave it for this tabs update review. If you enjoyed that, do not forget to hit that subscribe button down below so that you're notified when I do my new tabs content, which we have quite a lot of coming out. Also, leave a like and a comment down below. I will catch you again next time.